Live from the Dr. Jerry Henderson Radio Complex, it's time for Card Guys. And now, here's your host, Anthony Schulte.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael, for the intro as always, and welcome to Card Guys Detroit Sports Talk, Season 4, Episode 7, our Killian Hayes episode. Coming up today, we go through our Lions off-season checklist. We discuss the NBA trade deadline, which is fast approaching. The Super Bowl is Sunday, and we preview the big game. And we also close the show with the Red Wings, who have won 7 straight, sweeping their West Coast trip. I'm Anthony Schulte. Joining me as always is my man, Ryan Donnelly.
Hope you guys' Wednesday is going great. Hope your week is going great. Lots has happened in not the NBA world, not in the NHL world, but in the NFL world. We'll briefly touch on that during our Lions off-season checklist, but we got a fun show regardless.
Yes, we do. And right next to me, Mr. Michael Rosenkranz.
Good to be here on a Wednesday. A little tough to get up this morning, but we're here. We're making it happen. Let's get on with it.
Let's do it. All right, we have our 3 stars. Ryan, get us going with that.
All right, sounds good. Getting into the 3-star segment pretty early in the show. My 3rd star, I'm going with Trey Murphy, who on Monday against the Denver Nuggets, despite the loss, 41 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 2 steals. He's been the only bright spot on this very, very disappointing Pelicans team. They got to blow it up. Come on. Give C.J. McCollum to the Pistons. I'd love it. Anyways, my 2nd star, Jalen Brunson, who on Monday against the Houston Rockets, 42 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals. He had a good game, pretty solid. In a very competitive game against the Houston Rockets. Solid stuff from Mr. Brunson. And my 1st star, I'm giving it to Showtime. Patrick Kane. He had the game-winning shootout goal. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. But not only did he have the game-winning shootout goal, but he made history. He is now the number 1 leading goal getter for shootout goals in the NHL.
Yes, sir.
Made history last night. So Patrick Kane, he didn't have a good game until the shootout, which he got the win. 7 straight for the Red Wings. We'll talk about it later on the show. But, yeah, those are my 3 stars.
All right, Michael?
I'm going to continue on the Red Wing train. My 3rd star is going to go to Elmer Soderblom. He now, with that goal yesterday against the Kraken, he now has a 5-game point streak. So calling up from Grand Rapids, and the big fella's making his presence known. Mm-hmm. And he's really been flourishing a lot since he's come back to the NHL, since he's come back to the Red Wings, and really earning that roster spot on this team. So it's really awesome to see. My 2nd star is going to go to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. In the win over the Bucks, he had 34 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds.
21 in the first quarter.
21 in the first quarter. He just continues to dominate, impress. He's now averaging 32.5 points per game this season. There's a reason he's an all-star this year, and there's a reason why he's just so fun to watch.
He is.
And he's going to continue to be fun to watch. My 1st star, Donovan Mitchell. Although he lost to the Celtics, he had 31 points, 6 assists, 10 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell averaging just under 21 points per game this season, 4-4, but shooting 45% from the field. Not too bad for Donovan Mitchell. Great performance with a double-double. Those are my 3 stars.
Cade's still better in my opinion. All right, quickly hit my 3 stars. And number 3, we're going to go with Devin Booker here. From Michigan, local guy. Just passed the Suns legend Walter Davis's Suns all-time scoring record at 15,666. He did that on the back of a 34-point effort on 50% shooting, and kind of a shocking loss to the Trailblazers. Suns, I don't really know what's going on in Phoenix. It's kind of I think we're all kind of confused about what's going on in Phoenix.
I think they're going to trade Kevin Durant.
They're either trading Durant or Booker. I mean, I would love Booker in Detroit. I don't know what it would take to get Booker here, but Booker
Probably
next to Cade, and then put Booker at the 3 next year with Ivy out there as well. Or you could bring Ivy off the bench for a 17-point-a-game score off the bench, kind of like what we're doing with Beasley right now. Look, there's many options out there for the Pistons at the trade deadline. It's my 3rd star for passing Walter Davis and setting the Suns' franchise scoring record at the age of 28. So Lots of buckets for Devin Booker. My second star is my Pookie, my king, the chosen one, just a kid from Akron, the GOAT, LeBron James. 26 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds at the age of 40, and they blew out the Clippers. So the Lakers, without Anthony Davis, without Luka Doncic, doing good. And didn't have Maxi Kleba. I don't think Markieff Morris played in that game, so they blew out the Clippers, who are a good team, on just the back of the King, who had a 26, 8, 9, as I said. 8 of 13 from the field, and in his first quarter, and of course I lost it, first quarter he shot 100% from the field. Go here, first quarter. Come on. 14 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds on 100% shooting, 5 of 5 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3. So LeBron is just getting it done at the highest level, and he's 40 years old. So good to see from LeBron. And then my first star, the big bodega, Big Purr, Karl Anthony Towns, kitty cat, meow, meow, 27 points, 20 rebounds. It's his 5th 2020 game, second most in the league this season behind Nikola Jokic. So pretty good stuff from the all-star starter. Karl Anthony Towns embracing his role on the Knicks as they just barely squeak past the Raptors, who have been playing good basketball as of late. So those are my 3 stars. We're going to open the show today with a little bit of Detroit Lions football. We haven't talked about the Lions in a little bit, and this might be the last time we talk about them until something happens free agent-wise, trade-wise, or draft-wise. The off-season checklist. We all know the Lions came up short this season. They got to the divisional round off the back of a bye week and lost to the Commanders, who would go on to lose to the Eagles in what we'd consider BTA fashion. So the Lions losing the divisional round. Obviously, they had Super Bowl aspirations this year. Didn't quite get there. So we're going to put together our off-season checklist. Trades, maybe free agent signings, what we could do in the draft, what we need to do to continue to build up this coaching staff after everybody has left. Kind of an over-exaggeration, but still it feels like everybody has left. So what do you guys have for the Lions? Put yourself in Brad Holmes' shoes for 20 minutes.
Okay, so my offseason checklist, I have 3 things on my checklist. Linebacker depth, cornerback depth, wide receiver depth. Taking a look at PFF's linebacker free agents for 2025, Dre Greenlaw is there. He's been opening my eyes a little bit.
I like him, yeah.
Bobby Wagner, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he's going to re-sign with the Commanders. He's going to get a.
He's a good veteran. He's a good veteran voice, though. If we could snag him.
Now, I say linebacker because we might be losing Derek Barnes to New York.
We didn't have Barnes last. I mean, I just think we need one more linebacker.
Exactly. That's why we need to go after linebacker in free agency. Ernest Jones of the Seahawks is on there. Who I just saw somebody. Bobby Wagner. I mean, he's not going to go anywhere. Levante David, he's a solid veteran for Tampa. I think if you want a cheap linebacker and you want someone to impact this defense, I think Levante David is that perfect.
Yeah, that might be the
linebacker.
name right there.
You can get him for cheap too. You could sign him to a really nice deal. So Levante David is also. He's
probably looking to win a ring before he retires.
Levante David, and my 2 big linebacker free agent signings I want are Dre Greenlaw, and Levante David, but to name some more for linebacker free agents, Zach Braun of the Eagles, Jamin Sherwood, Robert Spillane, Tyrell Dotson, and Eric Kendricks of the Cowboys. That's another good name. Taking a look at his grades this past year, 80.1 run defense, 69.2 coverage grade in the box, 3% force completion rate, 8% run stop rate, and his APY as percentage of cap at signing, it's still a question mark. But taking a look at the grades for Levante David, an 80 run defense, 64% coverage grade in the box, 5% stop rate, and 5% force and completion rate, and a 9% stop rate. They still don't know what the APY is for Levante David, and for Dre Greenlaw, 71% run defense, 69% coverage grade, 2% force completion rate, which isn't good, but still a 9% run stop rate. We need run stoppers, and I feel like Levante David is that perfect guy. So shout out to PFF. They're really nice when it comes to free agencies and news. Taking a look at the cornerback room, DJ Reed, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Probably
with the New
not.
York Jets. Travarius Ward, he's another guy I'd keep on my radar. But my guy that I really, really want is Asante Samuel
Oh, Chargers.
of the Chargers. Taking a look, 64% coverage grade with no pressure, 72% coverage grade with throws in between or in less than 3 yards, 14% incompletion rate, and a 66% single coverage grade. Solid stats
He's solid.
from Asante Samuel. Now, Carlton Davis, he is on the free agency block. If you don't get Carlton Davis, I'd like to re-sign Carlton Davis.
I think he wants to resign as well.
I'd like Carlton Davis. He was solid for us last year. Taking a look at his grades, 73% coverage grade, 84% coverage grade. 73% coverage grade with no pressure, 84% coverage grade on throws less than 3 yards. Wow. It's 13% force and completion rate, a 53% single coverage grade. But you don't know how much you could get for Carlton Davis. I'd love to re-sign Carlton Davis. But if not, I'd love Asante Samuel. Just a couple more names to look out for. Mike Hilton of the Bengals. Stephon Gilmore of the Vikings. He might be retiring soon, so I don't think you should pursue a contract with Stephon Gilmore. Jonathan Jones and Nate Hobbs. Paulson Adabo. That's some noticeable names in the quarterback room. And the wide receiver room. Cooper Kupp is available.
I was going to say
If you
Cooper
don't
Kupp.
re-sign Tim Patrick, shout out my dad, big Tim Patrick guy. If you don't re-sign Tim Patrick, I'd love a deal with Cooper Kupp. Moving him,
Reunites him with Goff.
reunites him with Goff. He's a nice little mix of a slot receiver and sometimes a deep ball receiver. And I think he'd mesh really well with J-Mo and Amon-Ra.
He would complement our receiver.
He would complement them very well, and we'd have the best wide receiver room in football. So I think the assets you would give up is minimal. I don't think you'd have to give up that much for a guy like Cooper Kupp. He's on the decline, but he still puts up solid receiving numbers. So I would go after Cooper Kupp if you don't get a deal done with Tim Patrick. So that's my offseason checklist. I might be wrong. I might get clowned, but I don't care. That's my offseason checklist. Michael, go ahead.
Well, I think one of the big questions surrounding the Lions' offseason right now was the recent news about Myles Garrett requesting the trade. There's lots of rumors out there that the Lions, if they needed to, I think one of the big things is they have to get an edge to complement Hutch.
We have Za'Darius.
You have Za'Darius. He's got, I thought he was in free agency this year.
Nope.
He has one more year in his deal. That's one of the big reasons why we traded for him, because we would have him for next year too. I feel like because people want Myles Garrett. Obviously, they want the big shiny toy. They want the most expensive
You'd have
Barbie
to go
dream house.
all in to get him, though.
You'd have to go all in. You'd have to give up assets when all you need is someone to complement Hutch. If this could be an issue that is pushed to next offseason, and we can live with Za'Darius next to Hutch. That Za'Darius is the perfect guy to put next to Hutch. He's not too dominant, so he's not going to take away Hutch's stats, if you want to say it like that. He's not too dominant, but he's good enough to complement Hutch, so then people have to worry about him. It's not like you got who was our edge rusher earlier this year. It's not like you got why am I forgetting his name?
Lee?
The guy that
Not a lean.
the guy that pooped his pants. Houston.
James Houston.
Yeah, James Houston, opposite side Hutch. James Houston's respectable in a way, but it's not. You could take your eyes off of James Houston for a little bit to double Hutch.
Very
now,
disappointing, by the way.
yeah. Now you have Za'Darius, which they cannot take their attention away from Za'Darius, even next year. So I feel like you can kind of survive next year, and Hutch can have a huge year with Za'Darius opposite side him. Now, next offseason, that's when I think you should worry about an edge rusher, but you're going to give up way too much for Myles Garrett right now, considering you have Za'Darius for this next upcoming year, and I think this is probably the most important year out of the next 5 for the Lions, because I think after this next upcoming season, the window kind of closes a little bit more. And right now, with the window right here, you want to just kind of glide through that window and get to the Super Bowl. You don't want that window to close even more. Now it's even harder to kind of slip through that window. You want that window to be right here. So you have Za'Darius for next year. I don't think you need to give up so many assets on your team for Myles Garrett.
Well, here's my thing. If the Lions let him go, some team's going to pick him up. And it's going to be a wasted opportunity.
Myles Garrett?
Yes. If the Lions let him go...
But how much are we going to have to give up for him, though?
You're going to have to give up a haul for Myles Garrett. It's no question you're going to have to give up a haul for Myles Garrett. I'm just saying, why not now? I get the concept with Za'Darius Smith, but if you want to keep the Super Bowl window wide open, you have to address the elephant in the room with Myles Garrett. Dude is a stud, and he's had it with Cleveland, and yes, he's an outstanding player, and Za'Darius Smith does work well with Hutch, but you want to keep that window open for as long as possible.
So what would you give up? What if you're Brad Holmes and you're putting up a trade offer to the Browns? What are you giving up? I'm assuming Za'Darius Smith would be in that.
Oh, yeah, he'd be in that.
But what else would you give up without completely gutting what you have?
Lots and lots
Lots of picks. You'd have to give him lots of picks.
But do you want to give up? You might regret that in the next couple of years if you don't have those picks.
If I was Brad Holmes, I would not trade those picks.
And
Your narrative throughout the entire campaign is built through the draft.
Yep.
And if you trade all those draft picks, it's a wasted opportunity.
Now, what if the Lions were to get a guy like Jack Sawyer in the draft?
Well, I was going
that kind of fixes our
A
problem.
touted edge rusher. He's another edge, but you need another guy to complement Hutch.
There's also Mike Green as well.
Mike Green
out of Marshall.
is solid.
The Lions are kind of tagged with him, like being interested in him off the edge. I feel like you can draft an edge at some point in this draft, and then you can live with Za'Darius for one more year. And then you can fix the problem next year. I maybe throw in an offer that doesn't kill your draft picks and doesn't kill your roster. Just throw in an offer and see if Cleveland bites. I think you do that if you're Brad Holmes, but I don't think you go all in for Myles Garrett.
I just find it hard to believe, just because if you don't get him, other teams are going to pick him up, and that's a wasted opportunity. I get where you're coming from. But I just think it'd be a wasted opportunity if the Lions don't get Myles Garrett.
Taking a look at the Myles Garrett trading odds per dogsbynature.com. What?
If you look up Za'Darius Smith, his picture on Google is Stephen A. Smith.
What?
Look up Za'Darius Smith contract. You do this at home, too. Look up Za'Darius Smith contract.
That's Stephen A. Smith.
That's Stephen A. Smith.
Why is Stephen A. Smith...
I'm Za'Darius Smith.
I'm Za'Darius Smith.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
Taking a look at the Myles Garrett trading odds from dogsbynature.com, SB Nation's Brown page. The Lion, taking a look at the odds, the Cowboys have the best odds to land Myles Garrett.
And I think they will.
That makes sense.
Myles Garrett wants to be a Cowboy. He wanted to be a Cowboy. He grew up in Texas. He went to A&M. He made a video begging Jerry Jones for him to draft him. I think the best scenario for him is Dallas.
And Jerry Jones, if you think about it, Jerry Jones is desperate right now. He is going to be throwing rocks in a glass house, and he is going to offer a disgusting, in comparison to what other teams can offer, he is going to overpay as much as he needs to and throw just a disgusting offer that Cleveland can't refuse for Myles Garrett. I think that's what's going to happen. So, like I said, Brad can throw in, hey, take Za'Darius in like a couple thirds, maybe a fourth, maybe a second, and maybe just throw it out there. Maybe Cleveland will bite, but
yep.
I think Dallas is going to overpay.
Cowboys have the best odds to sign him. The Lions have the 9th best odds to get him at 14-1. The lowest odds are the Giants at 66.
Well, the Giants are the lowest odds to do anything productive this offseason.
Exactly.
Shockingly, the Commanders are second.
To get Myles Garrett?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now
that could be really
I would love
solid.
to see that. Because if anything, that defensive line needs a lot of help for Washington, their offensive line also needs a lot of help too. Skill positions, they're golden. Skill positions, their secondary, their linebacking core, they're golden. Their trench play, I like to call it, the Lions need help.
They do.
But quickly to run down the top 10, Cowboys, Commanders, Chiefs, Raiders, Niners, Eagles, Bills,
Chiefs,
Packers, Lions, Dolphins. Those are the top 10 teams to land Myles Garrett.
I think the Cowboys get it done. Michael, rest of your offseason checklist real quick.
I mean, Ryan pretty much hit a lot of good points. Receiver room, you got Cooper Kupp out there. Try and get a deal for him. What's going to be interesting is, can the Lions continue to build in the draft? That's what Brad Holmes has done, and I think that's what he can continue to do.
So that's what I got in my checklist.
The first round, I think the Lions can draft an edge. You need somebody, a really touted edge rusher, opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And the Lions also have a second-round pick, I believe. They also have a third and a fourth-round pick and 2 sixth-round picks.
Yeah.
So I think those latter rounds, you can start to go for your receivers and whatnot to boost your receiver room, because you're going to need a little bit of help with Amon-Ra, J-Mo. You need some guys to back up. I don't know if the Lions are going to extend Tim Patrick. So I think the things that are on my offseason checklist, if the Lions don't get Myles Garrett, continue to build in the draft, like Brad Holmes has done, and be smart with your picks. Not that I don't trust Brad Holmes, but be smart. Try and keep the window open for as long as possible, because with these big contracts extended, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra, there's no reason not to win a Super Bowl in the next 4 years.
Agreed. So my offseason checklist is kind of focusing on the draft. I think, for one, we need to explore the trade market, just see what's out there, see who's available, see what people want, see what you can give up, just kind of gauge where the trade market is. Cooper Kupp would be a great trade. Don't know what it would take to get Cooper Kupp. I don't really know his value since he's always been in Los Angeles, never been in trade talks, and it was kind of shocking seeing him, the Rams be like, yeah, we're trading you. Like, we don't care what you say, we're trading you. So I think gauge the trade market has got to be probably right up there at the top priorities. I think free agent-wise, kind of like what Ryan said, a little bit of linebacker, maybe a little bit of cornerback, but kind of focus on your own free agents, bringing back your own guys. I think that's kind of the bulk of the free agency for Brad Holmes. I'm going to kind of focus in here on the draft because I feel like at 28, the Lions can get a little sneaky here in the draft. Now, I'm just looking at where some guys are, in the rankings here. There's a couple offensive linemen at the end of the draft. I think offensive line needs to be addressed. The offensive line's getting up there in age. They're still getting it done. The Detroit People Movers still getting it done. However, you're going to have to start thinking future and building in the future. You still have Hank Fraley. That's huge. You want to capitalize on having him as much as you can. Focus on some offensive linemen. There's a couple offensive linemen out of Arizona. There's one offensive lineman out of Arizona, Jonah Savainae. Completely botched that last name, but he is up there. Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon, and Ariante Ursary, also out of Minnesota. So there's some offensive linemen down there, kind of in these mock drafts, that would be available for the Lions. Just looking through this a little bit more here. Where was that other one I saw? There we go. We got a tackle here, Cameron Williams out of Texas. So there's a couple linemen at the end of this draft that will be available and that you can look at if you're Brad Holmes. Also, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, Mike Green, edge rusher. You might want to look at him. Out of Marshall, Jack Sawyer, edge rusher, Ohio State. Now, a lot of people are saying, we don't want Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer's a crybaby. Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
Crybaby, but he's dang good at football.
However, where did Taylor Decker go to school?
Ohio State.
We all love him. You've loved him his entire career here. It doesn't matter if he went to Ohio State. It matters if he could produce and win on ball games.
It's what happens on the field that matters, not where you went to college.
Once you're out of college, who cares, right?
Exactly.
Who cares? I like Justin Fields and C.J. Stroud, but I didn't like him when they went to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I like Joe Burrow. I didn't like him when he was at Ohio State before he went to LSU.
I like J.K. Dobbins on the Chargers, but he went to Ohio State.
Doesn't matter if they go to Ohio. When they're at Ohio State, I don't like you. When you're out of Ohio State, can you win me football games? Let's see. So another guy that Pro Football Focus has us taking in the second round, Josiah Stewart.
Oh.
An edge out of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think that's what ED means.
Yes.
But that's also available in the second round if you want to go defense in the second round. So they also have a guard, Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia, going later in round 6. So a lot of things can be addressed in this draft. We still have picks. We still have room to address that in the draft. So that is our Lions offseason checklist to kind of go over it. Gauge the trade market. Take a look at free agents, but how about you focus on your own free agents first? Retaining the guys you need to bring back, making some decisions on some guys you need to let go, and really focusing on the draft and kind of building up that offensive line. I think the offensive line, you just got to keep bringing in replacements. Christian Mahogany's been a pleasant surprise, and he's going to be good filling in for whoever he needs to fill in, but we also have to bring back Zeitler, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Zeitler's a free agent.
We've got to bring back Zeitler, and I think we should bring back Zeitler. All right, the NBA trade deadline. Let's hit the trade deadline real quick before break.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a big day, probably one of the biggest days in the NBA calendar, the trade deadline. One of the most exciting things in sports is the NBA trade deadline, the best trade deadline in sports,
Agreed.
And you can't tell me otherwise. Two of the biggest trades we have so far. They're all 3-team deals. We already talked about Luka and Anthony Davis in our last program. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, go give that one a view. We need a little bit of love on that last episode. The next trade that happened just the day after, De'Aaron Fox is now a San Antonio Spur, and they kept Stephon Castle. Just masterclass in the front office for the Spurs. The Kings, they got Zach LaVine. Pretty sure they got 3 firsts.
They got lots of picks.
They got 3 firsts from the
picks.
I'm pretty sure they got all the picks. And then Chicago got fleeced. Chicago got a bunch of bums and like a second-round pick for Zach LaVine. Even the Bulls don't know how to sell correctly because they're not getting rid of anybody else. Vucevic is prepared to stay past the deadline, and they don't want to trade Lonzo Ball because nobody has the money to make up the $21 million other than Detroit. And they don't want to trade him to Detroit, it seems. So the Bulls can't even sell correctly. Those are the 2 big trades. Yesterday, there was a trade. Quentin Grimes and a second-round pick for Caleb Martin.
League changing.
Well, Quentin Grimes has been better than Caleb Martin this year, and you have to attach a second-round pick to get a worse player? What is this Nico guy doing? His best Troy Weaver impression, it seems.
Yeah.
Just questionable move after questionable move.
Pretty bad.
Not great. We're going to see what else he can do, though. Caleb Williams had that playoff Linsanity run back a couple of years ago, but that's really about it. That's really about it. So the trade deadline is coming up. There's a lot of names in circulation here. There's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of moving parts that could happen, especially because of the Luka Doncic trade. It kind of opens up a realm of who could get traded. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. You got some big names out there on some struggling teams. It's rumored that Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks for Chris Middleton. That's very strong right now. What are the Pistons going to do? They're one of the only teams, if not the only team, with cap space, and that's $14 million of it and an $8 million mid-level exception. What are the Pistons going to do? Are you going to get off of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s money and get somebody else? Maybe. Are you going to go and maybe take off a bad contract for a team, get some assets back, maybe a first, maybe a couple seconds? Who knows? Maybe you go give up a couple seconds, bring in Lonzo Ball, and attach Simone Fontecchio to that. Makes up the money, takes up your cap space. Fontecchio's $7 million or $8 million makes up that money. That's the perfect trade, I think, in my opinion. Fontecchio in a second, maybe 2 seconds for Lonzo. Get you that playmaker. Pistons need a playmaker.
They do.
Off the bench.
Yes.
They need a playmaker
They do.
and maybe a wing scorer for the bench. Right now, we don't have that. Who's our wing scorer off the bench right now? Ron Holland?
He can't score.
He can't score.
He's trying his
but
best.
He's trying.
And you know what? I give props to Ron Holland because he is light years ahead of where I thought he would be right now at the start of the season.
And the kid's what, 18, 19 years old?
18 years old.
18.
So Ron Holland is a very mature and well-rounded player already, but we don't have a wing scorer.
Nope.
Off the bench. We have Beasley. Are we going to consider him a wing scorer? Maybe. No. Maybe he's playing
he's a
the
guard
3
forward.
He is, in my opinion, he's a guard. But if we're looking for anything close to a bench wing scorer, I mean, what, Wendell Moore?
No.
Fontecchio's supposed to be our wing scorer, but
he might be gone.
He's not doing too hot this year. So there's many different ways the Pistons can go. How are you guys looking at this trade deadline? Because it's so unpredictable. I don't know what could happen. Tomorrow could be a crazy day.
As crazy as this week is already.
Yeah.
It's going to get insane. So, folks, grab your popcorn because anyone can get traded this season.
I knew this week would be weird when Luka got traded.
Yeah, Durant's on the market. Kuzma's on the market. Booker might be on the market. Lonzo's on the market. Lots of players are on the market.
Yeah.
Here's how I want to tackle this. My ideal starting lineup. This is my dream starting lineup after tomorrow. Cade, C.J. McCollum, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren. Starting lineup. Your bench, Lonzo Ball, Ron Holland, Malik Beasley, Isaiah Stewart. I forgot the power forward in my head, but that's my dream.
We do need a bench 4 too.
We're missing size. That's my dream scenario.
Now, what about some size?
Some size?
Because our tallest player is Jalen Duren at a generous 6'10".
Size is pretty important too. But where would you put size?
I mean, that's where nobody is untouchable other than Cade. That's where nobody's untouchable. So maybe if the right deal comes its way, you trade Duren for some size. You trade Paul Reed for some size.
Maybe you make a package to the Pelicans and not the Pelicans. Sorry, maybe you make a package to the Wizards. Get Jonas Valanciunas.
That's $30 million. I'd rather take on Lonzo's $21 million because he'd fit
I didn't
more.
Know his contract was that big. Sorry for not knowing ball.
Valanciunas signed a $30 million contract in the offseason.
I forgot I remember the other forward. It was Tim Hardaway Jr. But
Timmy starts, doesn't he?
Timmy starts. Yeah. But I'd rather have defense start because if you have a lineup of Cade, McCollum, Tim.
Well, yeah, McCollum would take over for Tim.
But you have no defense, so you'd have Asar at the 3.
I know, that's why I said McCollum would take over for Tim, and then Asar would play the 3 because Asar in the starting lineup has been great.
He's been really good.
He's opened up Jalen Duren to becoming this monster on offense and just all around. Duren's been so much better, which maybe you keep Duren.
Yeah, I think you do.
I think if you go for size, you trade Paul Reed. You trade Paul Reed for size. I love B-ball. I love me some B-ball Paul. But you need a 7-footer on this team. You know who just got waived? Mo Bamba. Just go pick up Mo Bamba. Just for a 7-foot. You need size. We are one of the smallest teams in the league. You need your size. Look, Stewart's a great interior defender. Duren is really putting it together mentally and physically. But you need size. Even if it's just Mo Bamba to rot on the end of your bench, you need size.
Yeah, but I think you need a guy to pair with Cade for all the time that Ivy's gone. I think McCollum is that perfect guy. He has a year left on his contract. Sure, it's I think $30 million, but
he dropped 50 this year.
He did. He dropped 50 this year. He had a couple 40 bombs too, so I wouldn't mind CJ McCollum. Plus, he's in his 30s. I think he's 32. I'm gonna fact check myself. I know he's in the 30s. He is 33. He's 33 years old. So it's another veteran to help Cade out. Plus, he's still a really good dynamic scorer.
Yeah.
And then Lonzo Ball, the playmaker to come off the bench, like you said. Sure, he's not the best scorer, but his court vision is up there with some of the best in the league.
He's got good IQ.
He has a really good basketball IQ. His passing is really nice. He knows when to take a shot. He's one of the smartest players.
He puts the ball in the bucket.
He is probably the smartest of the ball boys in my eyes. But I think LaMelo is LaMelo. I like LaMelo, but Lonzo would be the perfect guy to come off.
He's the most mature of the balls.
Yes. He's sorry. I'm a teacher. But
I'm a teacher.
But Lonzo is, I think, the perfect guy to come off the bench as our sixth man. Would you give up Marcus Sasser for him? I think I would.
You don't need to. You give up Fontecchio. I think because Fontecchio's money makes the most sense.
I
Sasser's
give up
money doesn't
Fontecchio
make
with
sense.
the McCollum deal, though.
You give up Sasser in the McCollum deal because you give him a young asset.
But you give. Here's the thing, and my friend of the show and my roommate Isaac Haffner were talking about this a couple nights ago. But Simone Fontecchio, would you put him in a tank situation like in Utah and us last year? He's really good.
Chicago's in a tank situation.
New Orleans and Chicago. So I could see your argument with Chicago, but New Orleans is worse. I think he'll be really good in New Orleans.
I think you got to choose between Lonzo and CJ because of the money.
Agreed.
The money is just too much. With Tobias on the books right now for, what is it, $28 million?
Right around
Tobias
Tobias
is on the books for 28. Cade just signed that extension. That's coming into effect next year. You need to pick one. You pick McCollum or you pick Lonzo. And I think you go with Lonzo. And I'm only saying we go with Lonzo because it gives us that bench facilitator. Look, he's not averaging a lot of assists, but he knows how to run an offense. And that's what we need off the bench. Marcus Sasser, love you. I have a lot of your cards. However, he's just not the playmaker. He can't run the offense the way we need someone to run the offense when Cade is on the bench. You need that mature point guard, and that's Lonzo. And you could easily match them up with Simone, a couple picks, make the money work, give them another forward, and It works. It works. And then you have the $8 million mid-level exception. You have to pick one or the other. You can't go after both. We don't have it's not baseball. All right, we're not the Dodgers. But you got to pick one. Michael, real quick.
You got to pick one. You could go with the New Orleans connection with Trajan Langdon and pick a guy like C.J. McCollum.
I think we haven't talked about Jordan Hawkins either.
Jordan Hawkins is another good potential target.
That's a guy you could toss Sasser in the deal. You could get Lonzo and you could get Hawkins. Get Lonzo, get Hawkins. That's possible.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Because you got that $8 million mid-level exception that he could fall into.
Another name I was kind of thinking was Bobby Portis, but I don't think he's going to be on the block anytime soon.
Anyone's on the block.
Now, I like Bobby Portis, but one, I don't think he's on the block, and two, it's Milwaukee. And Milwaukee's trying to buy to capitalize on Damian Lillard's best season as a Buck and Giannis being an MVP candidate.
I know, and another name that's been floating around too is Brandon Ingram, but he's going to be worth way too much.
He's way too much money, and he's way too injury prone.
I wouldn't be opposed, though, to Mo Bamba. Even though even though he may not get much playing time, you need size on this team. Duran's young. He's only 21, and he's turning things around, but the kid's still got to develop.
Mo Bamba is 7 foot with a 7'10" wingspan, averaged 4 and 4 on the Clippers this season. He's the age of 26. And I'm pretty sure because the Jazz waived him.
I wouldn't be opposed if the Pistons picked up Mo Bamba. You got to be smart with the trades, though. You have to be smart with the trades. I think Trajan's going to do that because the Pistons are trending in the upward direction. Be smart with the deadline. I'm really interested to see where this goes.
I am as well. So trade deadline tomorrow at 3. I'm definitely going to be watching.
I will be watching.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be entertaining.
The trade deadline is my favorite week in all of sports.
It is. And I have to take an exam, too, after the trade deadline, which I don't know how that's going to happen. Anyways, coming up after the break, we have a little bit of a Super Bowl preview and a little bit of a hot take that I agree with Mike Valenti on. We're going to bring that up. And we also have the Red Wings winning 7 straight. You're watching Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. We'll be back right after this.
Sports cards, signed jerseys, signed helmets, and more. Miller's Sports Cards and Collectibles is your one-stop shop for all things the hobby. Make sure to check them out down Mission Street in Mount Pleasant, right past Meyer. Miller's Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Join Michael Rosenkranz,
Sports take precedence over academics.
I agree, but
Ryan Donnelly,
Corbin Burns, who is their big-ticket J13 item. Scooble is with us. Scooble's our big-ticket
Did
J1.
you just call Tarek Scooble James?
and Anthony Schulte. I have an issue.
You have.
There is no break. It's a constant grind. It's an unbreakable cycle.
Yeah, it's.
As they navigate through the Detroit sports landscape. Live Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. on 101.1 The Beat in Mount Pleasant and at 11 a.m. on YouTube. Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk.
Welcome back, Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Ryan Donnelly, Michael Rosenkranz, and Anthony Schulte with you here on this Hump Day, the 5th of February. All right, it's time for the big game. Super Bowl Sunday is coming up, Super Bowl 59. It's Eagles, it's Chiefs, like we all expected it would be. And I kind of teased before our break here that I sided with Michael Valenti on something.
Shocker.
Which,
wow.
And the entire YouTube comment section did too, which is shocking. But he said
he had a good sports take for once.
Yeah, he did. And
I'm surprised.
This is it.
It's pretty bad.
The NFL is the WWE with helmets. And all it's missing is a ladder match. And I would not be surprised if we see a TLC match coming. Tables, ladders, and chairs coming for the Super Bowl. Anyways, he brought up many of things, and I'll kind of bring them up too. This is all Mike Valenti's brain, not mine. I'm just kind of reiterating the information I agree with here. Well, the referee that was adamant on overturning that first down call on the Josh Allen tush push is from Kansas City. He lives in Kansas City. Furthermore, you want to know who his favorite team is?
The Ravens?
The Baltimore Ravens. So we have a jaded Ravens fan with hometown bias overturning that call from the Chiefs sideline he was on, and he couldn't see the play. There's the one thing. Number two, there's a video out there online, you could look it up, of a compilation of the referees in the Bills and Chiefs game moving the football back a yard, spotting the ball a yard backwards. Jim Nantz is even quoted as saying, and that'll be good enough as for a first down. 3rd and 1. The ball's being moved back a yard. There's a video out there, and even Rico saw it and then had to agree because he watched the video. And he was like, oh, all right, well, that's kind of damning. And it is. When you watch it, it is. It truly is. I don't like saying the NFL's rigged, but they are licensed as a sports entertainment group, not a sports league. Sports entertainment. You know what else is under sports entertainment?
The World Wrestling Entertainment.
WWE.
WWE. Now I'm not saying it's scripted and it's they're going off a script. I'm not saying that, but the NFL obviously, and I think we can all agree with this, the NFL obviously has teams they want to see win because of money. They generated $55 billion, with a B, billion dollars in revenue this year. They obviously want their big money maker with the cash cow that is Taylor Swift's market. You put Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl, you're making
a pretty penny.
Yes. So obviously the NFL is going to want certain teams to move on. And the Chiefs are good enough to capitalize on a couple little Easter eggs the NFL could throw at them. A couple little coins the NFL could throw. Oh, here's this. Go take advantage of it. And they can because they're good enough to do that. Not discrediting the Chiefs. I still think they're a hell of a team. They're a great team. They have immense talent on that team. They're a team that could take advantage of these opportunities. And they are. And they're making it this far. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say on that. Because it's, when you look at it, it's just, you kind of can't deny it anymore. You have to at least admit that something is there. You have to admit that something is there for the Chiefs to get this far. Also, he said this, and I agree with it. I actually thought this was going to happen months ago. I predicted this happening. How much y'all want to bet that Mr. Kelsey gets on one knee and makes Taylor Swift his fiancée?
I'd bet
It's
every single
probably
penny
When they win.
It's probably gonna happen.
Just imagine the game-winning touchdown off of a roughing the passer call. Travis Kelce catches the game-winning touchdown. Confetti is falling down. The three-peat, the dynasty, the Mike Lombardi trophy being handed to
It's
Travis.
Vince Lombardi.
Oh, sorry, Vince Lombardi. Why did I say Mike Lombardi? The Vince Lombardi trophy. You got Travis. Taylor, will you marry me? Oh, my goodness. Everybody's going crazy.
I would love to marry you.
Everybody's going crazy. This is the biggest moment in NFL history. You're generating billions of views online because Travis Kelce proposed to Taylor Swift after winning the Super Bowl with all the red and yellow confetti falling out of the Superdome. I see it now. We're going to show up Monday, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
And that's our Super Bowl preview. That we're not talking about the actual game. We're complaining about the Chiefs, but
No, I kind of wanted to bring that up.
in all sincerity, it's going to be a good game. Both Chiefs 17-2, Eagles 17-3. Saquon is going to. I don't know how to feel about Saquon. That Chiefs run defense is amazing.
But
Stout.
Saquon's better.
But Saquon is going to maul through that defense. But what the heck was that conversation?
Now I just worry about what Anthony just laid out for all you.
Are we doing a Super
is
Bowl
going to happen on
preview
Monday.
or recap on Monday?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's just going to be Chiefs, Taylor Swift. But
How many times is somebody not named Travis Kelce going to do something and they go to the skybox?
You want to make a little bet?
Exactly.
Over under 19.5 times.
Oh, under. I mean, I think
Under.
the better
the over.
the better line
You're going to
is
take the over
I'm going to take the over.
on
the,
19
the,
and
be-
a half.
the better line would be like 4.5.
No,
I think
they
that's
showed him. Remember when we did the Taylor Swift counter last year? What was it?
Well, that was the first time she was in the bowl.
But still, it's Taylor
All right,
Blanket
hey,
Swift.
all right. I would put it at 4.5.
It's like
but
Taylor Swift is the biggest celebrity on the face of the earth right now. Do you know how many people are going to be watching the Super Bowl just for Taylor Swift? Half of America. Mm-hmm. So that's why I set the line so high. It's because I think they showed her like 23 times.
Something.
We said it in a show in season 2, but I remember saying it. But they showed her a lot last year.
they did.
Yes, they
So
did.
I think I set the bar really high because I think yes, he could propose to Taylor Swift at the
See
end
it
of the
happening.
game.
It's just
2,
it's just
she's the
magical,
biggest
isn't it?
celebrity on the GD planet. Mm-hmm. That's really it. The NFL's a business, so
It is. They're going to do what's best for business.
gonna do
And
what's
if that's
best
the
for
Chiefs
business.
winning,
And if it's the Chiefs
They're gonna
winning
help.
and making a dynasty and having the best dynasty since the Patriots, then so be it. But
and again, I'm not saying that the NFL is 100% fixed.
let's talk about the Eagles.
It's not 100% fixed. They give the Chiefs opportunities, and the Chiefs are good enough to capitalize on it. That's what I believe. I believe there are opportunities given. There are little things here and there that are given, and the Chiefs are good enough to make those things look bigger than they are. And they're good enough to capitalize on them. I still think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. Not the best, because they should have lost a lot of games. But I digress. Michael?
Okay, should be.
Let's talk about the Eagles.
Let's try and talk about the Eagles.
You're wearing the green today.
I
see.
am wearing the green today because I will be rooting for the Eagles in this matchup.
As will I. I think all of America.
All
agrees
of America except
All of
for
America.
Kansas City is
with you. A
gonna
little
be
dot
rooting.
over in the middle of,
I saw
the Kansas and Missouri.
Sorry to
border.
cut you off, but I saw a meme where it's like America's rooting. Who's America rooting for the Super Bowl? It was a big blank space, and then Philadelphia was highlighted with the Eagles, and Kansas City was highlighted with the Chiefs. And then there was a gray area, and it was all of America, and it was nobody cares.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me.
That's
I don't care about
exactly.
the Super Bowl.
That's exactly. This is a repeat of Super Bowl 57, but
Is Sirianni going to cry again during the national anthem?
who's performing it?
That's a great. I don't know.
So it's
The question is who's performing it. I thought I heard John Batiste.
It is.
I thought I heard John Batiste.
Should be Teddy Swims. I want it to be Teddy
John
Swims.
Batiste.
Yeah,
Imagine
Dude.
Teddy Swims belting that anthem.
No, but you got to
Teddy
realize.
Swims singing the anthem. But can we just say, like, this is rambling, but Chris Stapleton arguably one of the best national anthem
I made him
performances.
cry. I mean,
He's got an incredible voice, doesn't he?
Oh,
I will
he
say,
does. He's
John
incredible.
Batiste, nobody really talks about him. I love John Batiste. I love jazz music. He makes some good jazz music. I think he'll knock it out of the park with the national anthem. Listen, okay, this is rambling. I'll make it 10 seconds. Listen to his thing of Fur Elise. It's amazing. It's a jazz, classical, gospel version of Fur Elise. I digress. Sorry. Go ahead.
You hit the 10-second mark. Congratulations. I am really thinking that Saquon hopefully is going to go off. He has had a historical year. He's had an incredible year. If there's anybody who deserves to win a ring, it's Saquon Barkley.
Agreed.
Jalen Hurts, he plays pretty well under pressure, and all he has to do is easier said than done, but it's one more game. You're down to a single game season, and you're going up against a really, really, really good Chiefs team. Mm-hmm. Really good.
It's the little things.
It's
You
the
have
little
to do the
things.
little things right.
If you turn the ball over like Jared Goff did against the Commanders, you're not going to win the game.
You need to play damn near perfect football for 4 quarters against the Chiefs.
Yeah, you have to play perfect.
Avoid giving the referees opportunities to maybe go one way or the other. Just play good football, play your brand of football. That secondary, step up, make plays, but don't interfere. Pass rush, step up, make plays, make sure you keep hands off a golden boy. Offense, step up, make plays, don't turn the ball over.
Nope.
Simple as that. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than that, but for this show's sake, it's as simple as that.
For college students on the radio, we like to dumb things down, as you might imagine. But I'm rooting for the Eagles. I hope they get it done. Saquon deserves a ring. A.J. Brown deserves a ring. Just so many guys on the Eagles team deserve a ring. Who knows if Nick Sirianni will cry again during the anthem? Yeah, you may have your thoughts about Nick Sirianni, but he's a really, really good coach.
He is.
And he's back in the Super Bowl. He's another opportunity to, show up on the biggest stage. And it's not going to be easy. The Chiefs are going to be ready to go. They've been there before, and they've been there many times. They have a crap ton of experience. And unfortunately, I do think the Chiefs might win this game. But it's all going to be all up to the Eagles to play pretty much flawless football.
And I'm not going to lie. If it wasn't for this program, I would not be watching. If it wasn't for the program, I would probably...
Program or not, I might not watch.
I would probably be watching... I would probably be spending my Sunday in better ways. Anyways, the Detroit Red Wings played some hockey last night, some late-night hockey.
Sure did.
I went to sleep because I am
too.
tired.
I did too,
And
Anthony.
I just did not want to stay up till... when did they end?
12:45.
Yeah.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
I wasn't... Right now, with schoolwork, I can't be staying up till 1 o'clock. My body
Me
doesn't
neither.
allow that. So I did not watch the Kaner goal. I watched a highlight this morning when I woke up. Beautiful goal. Didn't it hit the post?
It
It
went
did.
He went backhanded bar down,
Yeah.
or off the post, and
So
he basically roofed it. It was beautiful.
So it was a beautiful goal. Red Wings winners of 7 straight. Second time under Tom McClellan. Still 1 game out, or 1 point, sorry. 1 point out of third place in the Atlantic. First place in the wild card right now for the Red Wings. Mm-hmm. Ryan, you watched the game.
I didn't watch, but I listened because my roommate was watching the game, and I was laying in bed and I was listening to the game
Okay.
via Bob Kaiser through the wall that was leading to the bedroom. From what I heard, and I was also box score watching too, but it was a good game, really good game. I wanted to watch reels and also watch the Red Wings, so I box scored and just listened to Bob Kaiser and Danny DeKaiser. Danny, thank you. Still learning hockey.
Bob Kaiser and Danny DeKaiser.
Bob Kaiser and Danny DeKaiser. Good to know. Yeah, good game. Almost blew it.
We blew a 2-goal lead.
We blew a 2-goal lead. Still, you got it done. Like we say in the business, a win is a win is a win is a win is a win. I mean, Talbot did not look good at all in my eyes. He looked terrible. I mean, a win is a win is not really much I could say. Is we almost blew it. Soderblom, you mentioned 3 stars, is on a 5-game point streak. Sider had a goal. He had a really nice power play goal with Snipe off the face-off. Lucas Raymond had a nice tip to start the game. I mean, nothing else.
I don't know how he tipped that one in because I thought that was Larkin's goal.
I thought it was Larkin's goal too. So like
even the Red Wings did.
It was a one-timer from the left point, and then Raymond slid it right in.
Yeah, it was
beautiful. But yeah, Kaner, MVP of the game. I think he got Detroit's Red Wings now's nail gun of the game with that beautiful, beautiful shootout goal. Now makes NHL history, as I mentioned, in 3 stars. This team's a wagon, man. We're back at home this Saturday against the Lightning. They are currently second place in the wild card. So we can definitely see who's the better team. We have 61 points. They have 60. So if they win, they could take over first place. Yeah, if they don't play a game before that, obviously. But Red Wings have a nice little break. Come back from Seattle. They got a nice 3 days off. And then they're off to Tampa Bay, and then on the 22nd, then you got a nice little break from the nation's face-off. You got Minnesota, so we won't be talking about Red Wings for a little bit after Monday. But yeah, Red Wings are a wagon right now, 7 straight. Hopefully they keep it this way. Hopefully if we lose, we won't go on a streak because we seem very streaky. What is it now? 15-4-1 under Tom McClellan.
Yes,
unbelievable,
insane,
Real. I love what McClellan has done to this team. I love what Yanni has done with the PK. It's looked miles better. I said it on Monday, and I'll say it again. All I could say are good things for the Red Wings. Everything's looking up. Let's keep it this way, folks.
Absolutely. Lightning play again tomorrow. Funny enough, against Ottawa again. Ottawa's staying in Florida, and they're playing literally on a back-to-back. So, and the thing that sucks about this is, it's like a really bad scenario. Ottawa's third in the Atlantic right now, but Tampa Bay is a point behind us in the wildcard standings. We're kind of in a rough spot with both teams playing against each other again.
And we have 3 days off.
Much needed, by the way.
Much needed, but it doesn't help when you can't add points to your total.
No, it doesn't. So the Red Wings have better prepare for Saturday against the Lightning. Lightning are a very good team. They have very dominant goal scorers. Braden Point continues to be outstanding. And just all those other guys. Vasilevsky, who's probably one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. He's always difficult to play against. So it's really interesting who the heck we're going to root for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, bottom line, Red Wings got to be ready to go on Saturday. Great game. Great road trip. 4-0 on the road trip.
8 points.
All 8 points on the road trip. Absolutely fantastic. You can't ask for anything better. It's super tough to win in the NHL. There's parity all the time. So, stranger things could happen. Red Wings got to keep it going. And, yeah, I'm not going to say it. Because we all know what next month is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it, but we all know what that month means historically for the Red Wings. But, got to keep things going.
Have to keep things
I think we
going.
break history.
Yeah. Well, that is all we have for today's show.
No trade news in the NBA and no Bregman signing during the show.
Nothing.
It's going to happen, folks.
Hopefully.
It's going to happen.
Hopefully.
I want it to
I'm
happen.
hoping.
Thank you for tuning into Card Guys Season 4, Episode 7 on 101.1 The Beat and YouTube. Tune in Monday as we recap the Super Bowl and check in on how the Pistons are doing, check in on how the Wings are doing. For my good buddies, Ryan Donnelly and Michael Rosenkranz, I'm Anthony Schulte saying so long, everybody.
Love you, Mom and Dad. Hopefully Bregman signs by Monday.
If you submit!